Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back for another episode of Portal 2. Should be wrapping up. Wheatley just tried to kill us, we escaped. Now we're gonna try and escape some more.
Oh, just thinking back to the old times, the old days when we were friends, good old friends, not enemies. And I would say something like, come back, and he'd be like, yeah, no problem, and he'd come back. What happened to those days? Notice that you're not coming back, which is disappointing. Oh, I've got an idea!
We had a bunch of levels that used crusher panels in ways that made the test chambers more dangerous. After showing some of these levels in press demos, we got feedback that viewers were getting the impression that Portal 2 was going to be too difficult, since players would have to time events such as running or falling through a portal while avoiding getting hit by a deadly crusher. We ultimately decided to save these crushers for the escape when Wheatley tries to hold you off.
Well, let's see, how's... okay, here we go. Would I want, like, another character taking over the facility? Not really. Not unless you're gonna have GLaDOS try and make some kind of offspring program of herself.
Don't mind me, continue escaping.
Yeah, that'd be kinda cool. If a fictional Portal 3... Man, this is noisy. A fictional Portal 3 story where GLaDOS makes a child version of her program, so like a childlike AI that's gone and run it amok, and so GLaDOS has to call Shell to come help her.
Perhaps the turrets have found a way to use grots. That would explain the extremely quiet killing that I'm hearing. If you're dying, but not dead, stomp once. If you're dead, just obviously no stomps. And 2 stomps if you're not dead. Alright, so let me just run through it again. If you're dying,
it would
not
surprise
dead,
me if this really was
dead, obviously you won't
like
be
the
stomping, and if you're not
75th
dead,
test
maybe a couple of
chamber.
stomps, 2 stomps.
In.
You know, I would tell you if I was dead. Alright, that is common courtesy. Mark of a civil society. So just let me know. Ha! Was that your bullet-riddled body flying out the roof? It was... Oh, those were the crap turrets, weren't they? Yeah. Well, no matter, because I'm still holding all the cards. And guess what? They're all full houses. Never actually played cards, we need to learn. Anyway, new turret, not defective. Ace of 4s, the best hand. Unbeatable, I would imagine.
Ace of 4s? Yes, 4 aces. He is unbeatable in a lot of card games. Let's get rid of these guys. Now, if I put this right here, so it hits the wall, nothing. Alright, so you have to split it, not just hit. Nothing. So, a little bit more. There's a ton of dialogue. That guy was still active? Okay, so I need it a little bit further. A little bit to the left, to the right. Oh shoot. Son of a... having so many bottomless pits and so few quick save locations.
Hold on. I'm almost there. Don't mind me. Continue escaping.
Even if they were shooting at me, I could have run out of there before.
Yeah. Well, no matter, because I'm still holding all the cards. And guess what? They're all full houses. Never actually played cards, meaning to learn. Anyway, new turret, not defective. Ace of fours. Best hand. Unbeatable. I'll remember.
Is that, let's see, a little bit to the right. There we go. There's more to the right.
Oh! I see. Clever. Very clever. And foolish. No way out. You're at my mercy, and I don't have any. You're at my nothing.
So, this is the first one we get. And you...
No, wait, come back. Sorry, please. No, I was going somewhere with all that.
And so we come back, and we listen again.
Fool! You were a fool to come back because I've trapped you again! Helpless. You're at my mercy, and I don't have any. You're at my nothing. You're at my lack of mercy.
So how you would even know?
You're ruining what are some really good speeches, actually.
How would you ever figure this out?
Twist ending. So twisty, you might even call it spinning. The Puppet Master! You're a puppet in a play, and I hold all the strings. And cards, still got the cards in one hand, and I got the strings in the other hand, and I'm making you dance like a puppet, playing cards.
Yeah, how would you figure this out?
Alright, fine, I'm not saying another word till you do it properly. I'm sick of this.
It has to be halfway through on the portal, so it hits the walls, because it cuts off the dialogue pretty fast if you just go this way.
Spinning blade wall! Machiavelli. No! Well, good. Finally, a nemesis worthy of my vast intellect.
In this excursion funnel ride, playtesters would often end up shooting the wrong portal at the critical moment and killing themselves. This ruined the moment for players who often didn't quite understand why their excursion funnel hadn't been redirected. As a solution, we now detect when the player places the wrong portal in hopes of saving themselves. We help them out by moving their other portal under the excursion funnel source. This effectively makes this section foolproof by allowing the player to shoot either portal to save themselves.
So, theoretically, if I shot the orange portal, then the excursion portal can't be powered. But I'm going to go while I'm traveling here and shoot the orange portal and show you how they've cheated here.
Holmes versus Moriarty. Aristotle versus Mashy Spike Plate. Stay still, please. Alright, stop moving.
Big old parts of the stuff is being here. It's gonna crush me. Oh, I guess it's not gonna crush me. Interesting. Big old parts of the structure is stuck in this.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Come back, come back!
Wheatley does a better reaction when he can't see me than what GLaDOS did in the first game. I will admit that much.
Did something break back there? Oh, did it kill you? That would be amazing if it killed you. Hello? Oh, yes, alright, no, just had a brainwave. I'll be back. If you're still alive, I'm gonna be back. Don't die until I get back.
That there wouldn't be a way to get over there, and even if you could get over there, there would probably not be a way to get back. How far can I go back on this point? I don't think I could get past this. Little area. Not a good idea. I don't like that they put this area in here and then you couldn't just walk in. Why not just have a doorway here? Why not have a doorway so I could walk in there, see it was a useless area, and then let me walk right back out? Why block it off? Never tease your player. He'll resent it. Not that I really resent anything about Portal 2. It is still one of the greatest games ever.
Good for him. First, he'll spend a year in the incinerator. Year 2, cryogenic refrigeration wing. Then, 10 years in the chamber I built where all the robots scream at you. Then, I'll kill him.
When playtesting the final boss battle, we found players were confused about what to do when they entered Wheatley's lair. Our solution was to train the player by having them break glass paint pipes in the previous level. This lets them learn the mechanic without any time pressure before they have to fight Wheatley. This also trains the player to redirect the bombs Wheatley throws at them.
It's certainly not something we were doing tons of in Portal 2 though. So I don't think they really trained them. When you start looking at how much Portal 1 really made effort to make sure you understand all the concepts that were needed at the very end and throughout the game. Portal 2 does not hold your hand as much, obviously, but probably not enough. There's still some points where it seems like people could get confused and not understand what's going on and what they're supposed to do.
Ah! There you are! Great. Let's get rid of this apple. There we go. Oh, wow, good. I didn't think that was going to work.
Hopefully this doesn't send me way far back. I wanted to see what being crushed by a spider. looked like.
Crushing's too good for him. First, he'll spend a year in the incinerator. Year 2, cryogenic refrigeration wing. Then 10 years in the chamber I built where all the robots scream at you. Then I'll kill him.
We should have had some more puzzles involving these explosive bombs, involving this concept of blowing up glass. It should have come up more often. We don't see the missile launcher
There you are. Right, let's get rid of this.
that was in Portal 1 at all.
There we go. I wanted to talk to you for a moment, if I may. I'll be honest, the death traps have been a bit of a failure so far for both of us. I think you'll agree. And you are getting very close to my lair. Lair. It's weird that first time I said that out loud. It sounds a bit ridiculous, really. But I can assure you, it is one. It is a proper lair. Deadly lair. And I just wanted to give you the chance to kill yourself now, before you get to the lair. You can just jump into that masher, just there. Less a death trap, more a death option for you. Sounds crazy, I know, but hear me out. Once you get to my lair, death will not be optional, alright? It will be mandatory. No tricks, no surprises, just you dying as a result of me killing you in a very, very gruesome way. So, but better offer here is just kill yourself. You know, it's a lot of effort, isn't it, walking all the way to my deadly lair, where there's a perfectly serviceable death option right there. Again, not a death trap, not a death trap. Your death would be entirely voluntary, and very much appreciated. The masher does work, I should point out as well. I know we've had a couple of problems in the past. This masher definitely works, and it will kill you. If that's one of your concerns about not jumping in, the masher will kill you straight away, painless. Well, it won't be painless, obviously, but it will mash you up. In summary, walk all the way to certain doom, or give up now, honourably, like a samurai. Save yourself a trip. It's a win-win for you.
Now,
Plus, I have
if
put a
I
lot of
move
effort
this
in getting this lair ready for you, so it would
here,
certainly teach me a lesson
you run
if you simply
past
died
this part,
painlessly 20 feet from the door.
it
I'd be
doesn't work.
furious. I'd be like, ah,
So
not
that's
just
actually
desserts. No
kind
more
of
than
a
dessert.
false
But
solution.
why not teach me a lesson by just jumping in the old masher? I'll tell you, if I was up against impossible odds, this is the way I'd want to go out. Mashed with dignity. That'd
So
be the way I'd
false
choose.
solutions here.
And here's the best part, there's a conveyor belt that will convey you in convenient comfort right into the masher. You wouldn't have to lift a
Obviously,
finger, everything's been
he
taken
just
care
goes
of.
on
Didn't
forever
have to-
and
didn't have
ever.
to do that. Look, anyway, I've spoken enough. Take your time. I'll let you think about it. I don't want to pressure you. Is it the layer? Is it the masher? Alright, you know what my opinion is of the masher. I'm leaning towards masher. Up to you. Okay, I'll take that as a no then. Fine, well, may the best man win. Sphere, may the best sphere win. Swap that in. Much more clever. Books.
The one last way to break a screen, why not? I don't think we got all the audio options there. I think I missed a few. So somebody else will have to do that. Now is this sunlight back there, or is that just the core melting down? I guess that would be the core melting down. I guess that's what they're trying to indicate with that brightness, but it doesn't look correct. Oops. Nearly could have messed myself up pretty bad there. Pretty cool jump. Take a second to figure out. You're just running up. So you get shown this huge... There's just like a whole nother layer above him too. There could be more facility.
You think I'll betray you, and on any other day my voice. I'm being serious. I think there's something really wrong with me.
I don't know, I kind of like the crazy computer AI thought. I think I can take all my crazy thoughts about what the story of Portal 3 should be, mix them all together and come out with a pretty awesome story. That you get called back by GLaDOS because she creates a crazy childlike AI predecessor. In the process of that, you make your way down to the very bottom basement to the test that has time travel. You go back in time and send out the distress call so that Gordon Freeman or people of Gordon Freeman's time can come save you. Probably Gordon Freeman himself, and thus you undo everything that happens in Portal 1 and Portal 2. And because there is a paradox here, and you find that it is actually a cryogenic version of yourself as a child in the storage that you accidentally kill or release that version of you and get into the cryogenic stasis yourself, hoping that Gordon Freeman frees you.
You find a way to stun him, I'll send you a core, and then you attach it to him. If we do it a few
So that would be my crazy time paradoxical story for Portal 3.
There was a lot of debate over how to properly punish Wheatley at the end of the game. Killing him seemed too severe, given how much we'd grown to love the character. On the other hand, simply letting him out of the GLaDOS body with a slap on the wrist seemed unacceptably anticlimactic. Having him sucked out into space with a space sphere seemed like a happy middle ground that everybody could get behind.
The numbering system on the commentaries, not very helpful. Because you see 1 of 3, but they're all hidden everywhere. Well, not hidden, but they're all spread out.
Plug me in and I'll take you up. Look, even if you think we're still enemies, we're enemies with a common interest. Revenge. You like revenge, right? Everybody likes revenge. Well, let's go get some.
Everybody likes revenge.
Well. Welcome to my lair. Let me just flag something up. According to the control panel light up there, the entire building is going to self-destruct in about 6 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's a problem with the light. I think the lights...
Wheatley used to have different kinds of attacks, other than lobbing bombs. At one point, we tried attaching several turrets to him that he could point at you. This proved too punishing, however, and they were removed. We also tried crusher panels that Wheatley could try to smash you with. This, once again, proved too punishing, since players were focused on what Wheatley was doing and would often get hit by a crusher they weren't looking at.
Portal surfaces. 2. Start the neurotoxin immediately. 3. Bomb-proof shields for me. Leading directly to number 4. Bombs for throwing it. You know what? This plan is so good, I'm going to give you a sporting chance and turn off the neurotoxin. I'm joking, of course. Goodbye.
Neurotoxin level at capacity in 5 minutes.
Where are you going? Don't run! Don't run! I tell you why you should run. The harder you breathe, the more neurotoxin you'll have. It's bloody clever. Seriously, devil. You're still running. All right, looks tiring. I tell you what, you stop running, and I'll stop bombing. That seems fair. All right, you didn't go for that. I see. You are lying. Point to you, but you still are inhaling neurotoxin. So point to the. That's sounded real. No, that was actually an impression of you. Actually, because you just fell into my trap, my brilliant trap. Just said, I wanted you to trick me into bursting that pipe. Didn't trick me, seemingly trick me, to give you false hope. Because that leads to overconfidence, and that leads to mistakes, fatal mistakes, and it's all part of the plan.
I'm delivering the first core up near the catwalk. Grab it and attach it to him.
Warning. Core corruption at 50%. And Defense system compromised. Neurotoxin offline. Reactor explosion in 4 minutes.
What happened? What happened? What have you palmed to me? What is that? Hold on. The bloody bombs are stuck on. Doesn't matter. I've reconfigured the shields. Oh, it's a core you palmed me. Who told you to do that? Was it her? She's just making me stronger, love. It's a fool's errand. Remember when I first told... Ah!
Quick, what's the situation? Oh, hey, pretty lady. Name's Rick. Well, you out having yourself a little adventure. What, are you fighting that guy? You got that under control? You know, because there's a lot of stuff on fire. Wait, count that cloud. Man, that is trouble. Situation's looking pretty ugly. Such a beautiful woman, if you don't mind me saying. I don't want to scare you. I'm an adventure sphere, designed for danger. Why don't you go ahead and have yourself a little lady break, and I'll just take it from here. Here, stand behind me. Yes.
Warning. Core corruption at 75%. Reactor explosion timer destroyed. Reactor explosion uncertainty emergency preemption protocol initiated. This facility will self-destruct in 2 minutes.
Enough!
So it's gonna blow up faster because he doesn't know, it doesn't know when the reactor's gonna go critical.
Here's another core. This one should do it.
Where's the core?
The Schrodinger's cat carrier outlines a situation in which a cat and a box must be considered for all intents. Simultaneously alive and dead. Schrodinger created this paradox as a justification for killing cats. Edmund Hillary, the first person to climb Mount Everest, did so accidentally while chasing a bird. In 1948, at the request of a dying boy, baseball legend Babe Ruth ate 75
This core,
then died of
well, the other one was the Space Core and the Adventure Core. This core is a snobby smart core.
Thomas Edison invented push-ups in 1878. Nikolai Tesla had in fact patented the activity 3 years earlier under the name Tesla size. Before the invention of scrambled eggs in 1912, the typical breakfast was either whole eggs still in the shell or scrambled rocks. Dental floss has superb tensile strength. Diamonds are made when coal is put under intense pressure. Diamonds put under intense pressure become bone pellets, commonly used today as packing material.
Much like the core in the first game that was talking about
William
cake.
Shakespeare did not exist. His plays were masterminded in 1589 by Francis Bacon, who used a Ouija board to enslave playwriting ghosts.
He is not saying actual correct information though.
They are sorcery. Halley's Comet can be viewed orbiting Earth every 76 years. For the other 75, it retreats to the heart of the sun.
Warning. Core corruption at 100%. Manual core replacement required.
Oh, I see.
Substitute core. Are you ready to start? Corrupted core. Are you ready to start?
What do you think?
Interpreting vague answer as yes.
No. Didn't pick up on my sarcasm.
Stalemate detected. Fire detected in the stalemate resolution annex. Extinguishing.
That just cleans right off, does it? Well, that would have been good to know a little earlier.
Stalemate resolution associate. Please press the stalemate resolution button.
Go press the button. Go press it. We're so close. Go press the button.
Do not do it! I forbid you to press it!
Press it. Press the button.
We wanted to be scientifically accurate in this puzzle, figuring that there'd be a slight delay before you'd see a portal on the moon, since light takes 1.4 seconds to travel the distance. But playtesters would shoot the moon and instantly turn away, thinking nothing had happened. They didn't realize they had actually shot a portal on the moon. We tried and rejected a few different approaches to communicate the effect, including a cheat involving quantum entanglement, before settling on the current solution to this problem.
So, at the risk of having to do this all over again, I'm going to not shoot the moon.
R5! Booby trap the stalemate button! What? Are you still alive? You are joking! You have got to be kidding me! Well, I'm still in control, and I have no idea how to fix this place. Oh, you had to play bloody cat and mouse, didn't you? While people were trying to work. Yeah, well now we're all gonna pay the price, because we're all gonna bloody die. Oh, brilliant! Yeah, take one more look at your precious
Notice
human
the
moon,
view
'cause it cannot help you now.
is stuck to just this part. This is quietness now. So you're pretty much stuck. Will it kill me if I sit here long enough? I mean, it's just not gonna say anything at all. How long can we sit here? No zoom option. Can't jump up. Can't use anything. So really you're just locked. You're just locked into this. Doesn't look like it would kill you at all. Looks like it's just gonna leave you. So it takes a while for it to work, but it locks you into a cutscene. So you don't turn away.
Let go! We're in space!
Space.
Let go! Let go! I'm still connected! I can pull myself in! I can still fix this!
I already fixed it. And you are not coming back.
Oh no! Change your plans! Hold on to me! Tighter! Ah! Grab me! Grab me! Grab me! Grab me!
So there's an alternate ending I've seen online where you actually get left on the moon and she kills you that way. Also, no real explanation why you couldn't breathe.
You know, being Carolyn taught me a valuable lesson. I thought you were my greatest enemy, when all along you were my best friend. The surge of emotion that shot through me when I saved your life taught me an even more valuable lesson. Where Carolyn lives in my brain.
Carolyn, delete.
Goodbye, Carolyn. You know, deleting Carolyn just now taught me a valuable lesson. The best solution to a problem is usually the easiest one. And I'll be honest, killing you is hard. You know what my days used to be like? I just tested. Nobody murdered me, or put me in a potato, or fed me to birds. I had a pretty good life. And then you showed up. You dangerous mute.
Now this
lunatic.
design
So
of GLaDOS is actually
You
really
win.
different from the original
Just
game.
go. It's been fun. Don't come back.
Now we're gonna skip the song at the end here. Now I think we get this part always. But maybe you don't get this part if you don't save that special, the special turret. I don't know, I don't think I've ever played Portal 2 and not saved the special turret. Could be also in Portal 3 that the turrets take over and GLaDOS needs your help for that. Anyways, I'm not gonna sit here and go through the songs again. So we're just gonna end it. But one thing I am gonna try and do, even though I said I couldn't do co-op commentary, I think I might actually be able to. We've done, let's see, the credits. What's the developer commentary on the credits? See what this is. I may jump right out of this unless they have something interesting to say.
Well, here we are again.
Doesn't look like there's anything there. But did want to see the co-op commentary. It looks like I can do it without anything. Either that or this is just gonna crash.
Did you notice I didn't even stay to the end
good.
of your last test? I was confident you could finish. Do you know where I was? I was outside watching some deer frolic. You don't even care about the outside, do you?
So the story kind of overlaps here, and it's in this developer commentary part. We can do some of the co-op part. I would recommend
in
you
our
find
first
the co-op
implementation,
part
gestures were automatically
and play
selected
these
based on the
parts.
player's context. For example, blue might do a special gesture when standing on a floor button. Players became bored of seeing these gestures so quickly that they stopped using them before discovering any of the special context. Because of this, we decided to give players control of gestures as a way to express themselves. But when shown the full set from the start, they were overwhelmed by all the choices. By awarding gestures as the game progresses, we allow players to familiarize themselves with each gesture in turn. Leaving visible empty slots in the gesture wheel lets players anticipate that they'll be rewarded with cool new gestures as they progress. The gesture wheel provides quick access so that players can feel comfortable tossing out a gesture during downtime, letting them pick the perfect moment to share a high five.
So, which button is the gesture button on this? Oops. What was that? Apparently the Y button on the controller skips you right to the next developer's commentary. Well, we didn't move that far, and I would if we can just do it anyways, it doesn't matter. I'd recommend if you can have somebody who will play local co-op with you, do it. The co-op is worth
We have a taunt where one robot steals the other's core. When implemented, it was the only taunt that required one person to initiate. Because of this, we were afraid that it would be used for griefing. We were in the process of rethinking our approach when early playtesters rated this as their favorite taunt. It was also the most used team taunt because it only required one player to initiate and was easier to use than the others. We ended up changing all the other team taunts to emulate the way stealing the core works.
So you play as these two robots. These are the two ejection tubes.
Airlocks were introduced mainly as a way to allow players to focus on individual puzzles. In some of our early investigations, areas contained puzzles that were meant to be solved as a group, as well as others that were for individual solution. But we found that if players could move freely between them, they logically assumed that the individual puzzles were part of one big puzzle. This had bad results. For clarity, we created these airlock-like spawn rooms that act as checkpoints between puzzles. Once both players entered the airlock, we lock off access.
In Left 4 Dead 2, we authored simple, fogged, black versions of the world as monolithic models to avoid the CPU overhead of rendering the world again for water reflections. This worked well for the Left 4 Dead 2 outdoor environments where most light comes from the sky. But Portal 2 is almost entirely indoors, so the color and value of the world geometry is apparent in the water reflections. Since the Portal 2 world geometry is relatively simple, we automatically build a version of the world geometry that has a single texture that combines both lighting and surface shading, along with another texture that has just surface shading. The latter texture is used when rendering dynamic lights. These textures are at the same spatial resolution as the light maps and get packed into a single large atlas texture per level. Drawing the simple world imposter takes very little CPU time, which was a limited resource on Portal 2 due to the many portal views, split-screen views, and water reflection views that we needed to render. We initially planned on using the world imposters only for water reflection rendering, but we ended up using it to improve the performance in split-screen mode, where it is used for rendering distant portals and portals that are 2 levels deep. We also used the world imposters to render water in full-screen co-op mode, to give us some performance overhead, since the co-op mode has more portal views to render than single-player mode.
It's a good thing I found the button that would skip me to the next section. If this fizzler was enabled, which I believe it probably is in the regular version of this, we would not have been able to do that trick and get over to where we got.
Normally in games when players die, they see this as a big failure. But in Portal, death is a normal part of the puzzle-solving experience. In co-op, death not only happens more frequently, but it can happen at the hands of your partner. Purely accidentally, of course. We felt it was important to not only make death no big deal, but to make it fun. Early on, we tried some elaborate death animations, such as showing your robot slowly getting crushed under a giant crusher. These were awesome to watch, but they quickly became repetitive. Also, after a very short while, players grew afraid to take risks. The fear of having to wait a long time before trying again prevented them from simply playing and experimenting in a spirit of fun. We had to find the right balance where death was quick enough to be a non-penalty and elaborate enough to be visceral and satisfying, a fun payoff for creative play.
So you need another partner which by the way, the other player comes out with a red and yellow portal, and I don't know if anybody gets the blue and orange. There might be, I know there's a red and a yellow, and there might be a darker blue and some other color.
We noticed that after playtesters had solved a difficult puzzle together, they'd sometimes pause before funneling through the exit door to repeatedly jump up and down in excitement. We realized that these meeting places would be the perfect time to allow players to high-five each other and celebrate their victory in style. Our first interface attempt had one player initiate a high-five by holding their hand up and waiting. The other player could join in by selecting the same gesture. If they were standing in the correct positions relative to each other, they'd pull off a high-five. But learning the correct place to stand was too difficult, so we decided to automatically move the bots into the correct position for the high-five. Sometimes, however, the player who wanted to high-five would be left hanging as the other player ran ahead without accepting. Increasing the time that the initiator waited with his hand up gave the other player time to return and accept. But being frozen into place for more than a few seconds was too frustrating. So finally, we made players auto-accept the team gestures. Now when the mood strikes either player, the game always ensures a successful celebration.
Something that really surprised us was how often playtesters stated that they loved the basic experience of handing off a cube to their partner. Players didn't expect such a fundamental physical interaction to just work in a game. Before trying it for the first time, they would discuss their plan as if it were some unique or special new game mechanic. When it just worked, they were overjoyed.
Early on, we realized that trying to tell your partner where to go, where to look, or where to place a portal was going to be really hard. Even with voice chat, saying "over there" doesn't give enough information to your partner within the 3D space. Players kept wanting to get up and point directly at their partner's screen. We developed the ping tool to address this problem. Because the ping tool was so important, we decided to train players in its use before we did anything else. We held back on the vast majority of player actions and let the players focus entirely on the ping tool. This is why the co-op bots start separated in a tube, without even the ability to walk or shoot a portal.
So there's a lot that they added to the co-op stuff that's not even in the main game because it's not necessary.
Several puzzles in the game require the players to take on distinct, intertwined roles. We called these asymmetric chambers trust puzzles, because one player is often placing their life in the hands of the other. When one player accidentally kills the other, it almost always ends in laughter. So much laughter that we sometimes had to question if it really was a legitimate accident. These puzzles also require players to stay in constant communication, which naturally leads to some great moments of cooperative bonding. While some teams found these stressful, for many partners, these puzzles were their favorite type. But everyone agreed that they added much-needed variety and a nice change of pace. And by swapping roles, each player can get an entirely different experience within the exact same puzzle.
Most players don't realize that the ping tool is context sensitive. When they're playing voice enabled, players usually rely on the look portion of the ping tool. Without voice, icons such as press the button or stand here become much more important.
I cannot find any buttons though that on this controller. Maybe it's because I'm in the document. Yeah, I know when I played this on the Xbox 360, all the gestures and everything worked. But in this, it doesn't seem like it's giving us the options in the regular game. And so this is the elevator section of the co-op, that one player of Peabody would get in one, Atlas would get in one, and then they would be disassembled, not elevated anywhere. So let's see. Developer commentary, the hub. So we can do 2 more co-ops commentaries, which is great. I'm really happy I'm able to show at least some of the levels. It's nowhere near the gameplay of playing in co-op, which was really fun when it was out, although you do get a bunch of kids that don't know what they're doing.
In laying out the structure of our hub, we had a number of challenges that were new and specific to co-op play. We have to assume that each player has made different progress throughout the game, playing with different partners. Starting in the neutral center of the hub was a way of making sure that they had a chance and place to coordinate. Players needed a way to agree on where to go, and a way to visualize each other's completion data. As they played, they needed concrete feedback on how much progress they had made. In seeking solutions, we felt it was important to keep the player in the game space, rather than resorting to menus and UI that would take them out of the game. Therefore, players can clearly see their status over the doors, and they navigate by walking to the course in the 3D space. GLaDOS is there to connect the experience to the single-player game, while also holding the player's hands a bit to keep the co-op goals and feedback clear.
The visual design of robots began with lots of concept art. The initial round of concepts explored all kinds of forms, from human to the more abstract. We found ourselves gravitating towards shapes that reminded us of the sphere and the turret in the original Portal. Whilst keeping with the established Portal design aesthetic, we were keen to create all new characters, and being a duo, it was important that they were their own separate designs, rather than identical copies of each other. Unlike, for instance, Team Fortress 2, where a clean silhouette is essential for communicating the nature of a character, we had an opportunity here to play with designs that were a bit messy, with things sticking out of them so they looked half manufactured, half improvised. Once we had agreed on rough designs in 2D, we began to build the shapes in 3D, and this is where the next level of improvisation and experimentation occurred. Usually, a model will be designed and built in 3D and then rigged for animation, but here we allowed the rigging process to inform the models. We wanted to celebrate the mechanics of robots. We allowed function to dictate form, and in terms of detail, they started to design themselves once you start thinking about motors, ball joints, actuators, and all that sort of thing. The classic duo is often made up of 2 contrasting body types, short and squat next to tall and wiry. And it's not hard to see Laurel and Hardy, C-3PO and R2-D2 in these characters. Even though we had the freedom to make our silhouettes a bit untidy, it was still important that they remain readable as anthropomorphic bipeds. We wanted players to feel free to make mischief for their partners, in a typically human way, but without creating any kind of gore. The robots were perfect for this.
In a lot of ways, I think Valve might be a little too much like Aperture Science. They seem to spend a lot of thought thinking about how they're going to make real robots, when all they needed to do was make an animation of a computer robot. Also, point out, they've mentioned now Left 4 Dead 2, Half-Life 2 I've mentioned, Team Fortress 2. Valve is afraid of the number 3. Literally, I'm not sure if they have any game they've ever made that got to the 3rd iteration.
Our initial goal in designing the hub was to provide players with a lot of choices, so that they could sample a variety of game types. The idea was that if they got stuck or needed a break, they could pick another test chamber or another mechanic to explore. In reality, this prevented us from doing sufficient training and limited the overall scope of the puzzles. With such a flat structure, it was much harder to layer old mechanics onto new ones, because we couldn't guarantee that players understood what they needed to know to solve a puzzle. By going linear, we could guarantee prior knowledge and provide a much better experience, more satisfying pacing, and a story that gathered momentum over a long period of time.
Okay, so this hub has the first section You'd always start here unless you, well, at the beginning you start here. It has section 4, so section 1, team building, section 2, mass and velocity, section 3, I can't see that, let's see. How do you get up there? Let's see. You have section 4, excursion tunnels. You have this portal here, and then I think this portal here. Let's see. Oops. Well, that sucks. Killed myself in what is basically just a demo. Proving I can still suck regardless of how easy the game tries to make it. There's like no challenge around this area at all. Notice section 2 not unlocked, section 4 not unlocked.
Our initial goal in designing the hub was to provide players with a lot of choices so that they could sample a variety of game types. The idea was that if they got stuck or needed a break, they could pick...
Alright, so after we listen to that, there's this power that enables that and all of this, but how do we get up there? I think there's more you have to do.
In our original robot designs and the first animation tests, we started with the premise that, being robots, their movement should have limited personality and be a bit more mechanical. The feedback of our game testers and the reaction of our fans to the trailers convinced us that a more whimsical approach to animation would lead to a better experience. So we moved away from a sterile approach and found a whole new range of possibilities as we began to explore their personalities and gestures.
So this is the first one.
Since the co-op characters can die at any time, we needed a way to rebuild them quickly and often. Therefore, in co-op, we replaced the elevators that connected test chambers in single player with disassembly machines. These are meant to reinforce the idea that since the robots are disposable, being destroyed is no big deal. In the robot world, it happens all the time.
I've not played the co-op in a while.
The orange bot has been described as finicky, and you can see elements that are somewhat bird-like and even reminiscent of the Odd Couple's Felix Unger. The gotta pee idle dance was born out of the idea that current bipedal robots are constantly needing to readjust in order to find their balance. Because Orange's design is rather unstable, the motion design solution was kind of a perpetual motion needed to maintain his balance.
Now, I don't think if I... Yeah, there's glass in front of these, I can't even walk under them. But it wouldn't let me do all the things necessary. Let's see. So, how does one get up here? There's some trick to this that I just don't remember. Let's go see the fourth section, even though it's a little bit out of the order.
If the orange bot is the Odd Couple's Felix, then blue is Oscar. Blue was meant to be an early and rather rough prototype robot, representing GLaDOS's first attempt at making a bipedal testing bot. Compared to the sleek lines of Orange, he's much less elegant. For motion inspiration, we looked to some of our favorite real-life robots, such as the Big Dog robot from MIT, and the towel-folding robot from Hitachi.
Now, a machine pops out here so you can reset the sections if you want to just start over with a new partner. I think I'm gonna have to give up on the hub because I can't for the life of me figure out how one was to get over there. There's some trick. There's some trick to it. It's just I don't know what the trick is. It almost looks like there should be a aerial faceplate here, and I think that's the trick. But, alas, no. So let's exit back to the main menu. I think we did all of the commentary there. And so the last place we can do is the security room, which somewhat spoily for the co-op part of the game, which has its own story. But I could understand and see how people in 2015 don't have people to play with them. Because you need basically a local person. Bridge quality control offline. Online.
It took a while for us to dial in the right approach for the co-op bot vocalizations. Initially, we recorded some in-house vocal performances and processed them heavily, with the resulting sounds being very robotic. However, as the animations being created for the bots were so broad and expressive, we soon realized we were going to need to try a different sonic approach. After a few more in-house experiments, we brought in D. Bradley Baker, who we had worked with to create the voices for some of Left 4 Dead's Special Infected. We worked with Dee to come up with 2 distinct vocal and character approaches for the bots and recorded a range of responses for each. Afterward, 2 of our sound designers each took on one of the voices and came up with a unique sound processing approach to create a distinct sonic personality for each bot that still allowed the energy and expression of Dee's performances to shine through. In the following samples, you can hear what they sounded like in Dee's original performance, and the result after the sound designers got through with them.
Boy, does that sound crazy. Hey look, I'm Chell, too, even though I'm in the other area. I recall this puzzle having some solution to something like this, and then you had to, when you got over there, you had to shoot this and all kinds of things. You eventually got a ball. They did a lot with having balls to turn off things. You would have to power this to open the door, I believe. But these puzzles have been modified and doorways have been opened so one player can do it by themselves.
It's important to give co-op players a way to coordinate their action. Seeing how our players naturally wanted this ability, we decided to support it with the ping timer and ended up designing some puzzles around it. Due to lag and other issues, syncing up actions over voice chat turned out to be rather difficult. Therefore, we created the countdown timer as a way for players to keep in sync. It's completely predictable. Both players see the go at the same instant, and the clocks run in sync even if they are on different systems.
Prime example would take 2 players to flip the switch to open the doorway. At the end of the co-op thing, which gave you a lot of indication it was just going to be co-op puzzles that didn't have anything to do with anything, it does get revealed that GLaDOS did have a plan for you. Oh, this is going to be kind of hard if I have to solve this. I don't remember.
This puzzle requires one of Portal's trickiest logical leaps.
Early playtesters often took longer than their patience would allow and were nearly ripping out their hair by the time they'd finally solved it. But almost everyone insisted that the payoff was by far their favorite moment in all of co-op. We significantly reduced the average solution time by adding a puzzle just before this where two cubes repeatedly collide, but this almost completely robbed the appeal from what was once a high moment. So instead we decided to make a few subtle adjustments and leave players with the responsibility to make the final leap. First, we added a puzzle 4 chambers earlier to teach players to fling by cutting their hard light bridge and falling into a surface directly below. We then subconsciously primed the thought of mid-air collision by having players repeatedly ricochet weighted spheres against a hard light bridge. Finally, we designed this room's layout, lighting, and decals so that players would see the entire space as a symmetrical whole and visualize the bot's fling path. By planting shards of the idea in their heads, we allow players to own that exciting dual collision epiphany while keeping their sanity intact.
Alright, so I gotta shoot this and then this. Yep. So you had to do that at the same time, because I don't believe this light bridge was on or there in the game. So you had to throw cubes, I believe, with you, or you had to collide with your partner at the same time.
For a while, we were on the fence about whether to keep the Team Taunt hug in the game. Some felt it wasn't suitably robotic, while others had a concern that perhaps it showed too much emotion for these characters. But once it was animated for a trade show trailer, many of our concerns were washed away by the positive reaction of the fans. It was a huge success.
Don't tell me I missed any. Good. I would have been upset if I had to go back.
The levels in Portal 2 are much more complex than in the first game, and as a result we've had to beef up the player movement algorithms. The player is represented as an axis-aligned box in the world, which creates a problem for portal teleportation because portal teleportation is almost never axis-aligned. To improve how we handle this, we trace the player as the axis-aligned bounding box they would use on each side of a portal simultaneously, and merge the results into something usable. We have to predict quite a bit more than previous Source Engine games because portals and projected entities change the way the player moves through the world. Prediction itself is a mind-bending headache when dealing with portals. We're already dealing with a non-linear space, now we also have to deal with non-linear time in a non-linear space.
A lot of new stuff here. Like copy machines. Yeah, we saw this as junk, but it's actually important in Portal 2, but these copy machines, these computers, all this stuff not in Portal, all this cubicle design I don't think was used. Well, maybe it was used, but it had stuff on it. These Laserdisc readers or giant disc readers. Let's see. She is watching to do human verification system. So they were trying to stop GLaDOS from doing
Writing GLaDOS for co-op introduces some interesting problems. In single player, you can count on players paying attention and being caught up in important moments. In co-op, you can count on 2 players chatting about what they just did as GLaDOS delivers an important line. To help with this issue, we broke up the story beats into smaller sections so players don't become impatient. We also repeat the points multiple times to ensure the message sinks in even if you missed it a few times. Lastly, we also give players room to talk. For example, when you die, there's a 2-second beat for you to laugh or yell before GLaDOS speaks. It is important to give those places for players to speak because the best part of co-op is the shared experience.
So let's see if we can get more of the ending here.
In just a moment, the word.
Yep. So that kind of sucks that I can't show more of the co-op thing, and I really don't know why they're going to put the co-op in the front. If anything, I think the co-op, it runs the same part of the it runs parallel to most of the story, but it ends after the ending of Portal single player, Portal 2 single player. So I put the co-op at the end after the credits for the director's commentary, and I would say play the co-op after you've played the single player game. And we are done with this series. Next series we are going to just do what is this? Challenge maps? Yep. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do challenge maps for the next series. Otherwise, we are done. Sorry, I'm loading into this.
If the Earth is currently governed by a map,
we're going to see a lot about not being signed into Steam.
Of Animal King, Sentient Cloud, or other governing body that either refuse.
But that's the end of this series. Again, I want to thank everybody for watching this series all the way through. Let me know if you liked this being broken up only into maybe 5 or 6 episodes. I don't know how many I did. Recording Portal 2 single player as kind of a speed run this way really makes the game feel a lot shorter to me. It felt like I did it in about 6 hours, where I probably would have told you it felt more like 12 hours doing it between each load. Part of that is probably because I was adding time every time I wrapped up and started a new episode, so I was probably taking a lot more time to do all of that. But let me know, do you like the 10-minute episodes? Do you like the 30-minute episodes, the hour-long episodes? Would it be worth my effort to have one long video? I don't think so. I don't buy that, because too many people would stop halfway through. That makes a little bit of a problem. Going over 2 hours and 30 minutes on YouTube actually makes it uneditable, so you can't edit things out. So it's really silly. As soon as you have something long enough that you need to edit, the YouTube doesn't let you edit it. It's craziness. So doing a one long run probably would never happen, but I can certainly keep episodes to an hour. Lots of my other series, which I'll get to in a second, have episodes that run hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours if it's a really good run. And a lot of those series you can't do anything about it, because there's no place to break it up like in Portal and Portal 2. So to talk about my other series, I have Hearthstone. I'm asking you to watch my other series, please. We're going to be completely done with Portal 2 after we do a series on the challenge things. But in case you don't want to watch the challenge things, watch my other series. I have Hearthstone, which is a online card game that is based on the characters of World of Warcraft, but if you don't know anything about World of Warcraft like me, it doesn't really matter. It's just an online collectible card game, and it's pretty fun. That's my series where you'll hear me talking about what's going on in my life and what's going on with my channel. So that's the one you want to stick to if you want to know what's going on with me, or just like Hearthstone, because I do talk about Hearthstone when I play Hearthstone also. I have another series out right now called FTL Faster Than Light. That is a strategy game where I'm in control of a ship trying to save the Federation. It's pretty fun, and it's got a very interesting mechanics to it, and scenario decisions. Do you pick left, or do you save a ship, or do you attack the attacker type stuff? I have a third series called The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. It is a dual joystick shooter. It is mature in theme. Check out the first episode if that interests you. Keep going. If it doesn't, I understand. On Hearthstone, I'd say check out the first episode if you don't understand anything about Hearthstone, because that is my tutorial episode. Same is true for FTL, first episode tutorial. Well, always. You always learn everything in the first one. I have a complete series for all of Portal 1. If for some reason you have gotten this far and not watched my Portal 1 series, go back and watch it. I have, just like this series, I have the first run broken up into 10-minute elements. I have a developer commentary, which I ran through, and then I have the challenge options, and there was like 2 challenges, a speed and another challenge in Portal 1. It seems like there's only 1 challenge in Portal 2, which is fine. It seems like it's measuring both things. So I've done all of Portal 1 that I can do at the moment. I have all this Portal 2 footage, plus the challenge maps that are going to come up after this, so check those out. I have a game called The Talos Principle, which came out in 2015. It is heavily influenced by Portal and Portal 2, and I didn't make a lot of comparisons, or I don't know if I made any in the developer commentary runs, to Portal 2 and The Talos Principle, but go watch my series on The Talos Principle and see the parts that are the same, see the parts that are different. It is a very good comparison. 2015 is looking good for puzzles. If 2 of the scheduled puzzle games that come out this year actually come out, we'll have a pretty good year with puzzle games. I have a couple of spotlights of my Minecraft server listed under the playlist for spotlights. You can check those out. I may release another spotlight of my Minecraft server pretty soon. I'll probably just randomly upload that. There's a spotlight for a game Limbo. That's me playing the entire game beginning to end. So in one long run, if you ever want to see what one long run is, that's my Limbo spotlight. And then I do a quick spotlight of Mirror's Edge, which had some video problems at the moment, so I'll have to get back to it when I get some better hardware, if I ever want to do a series on it. And I guess that's all I have out at the moment, but I'm going to be a monster about releasing more and more video in this year. This is my first year as a YouTuber. I need all the help you can give me, all of that sharing, subscribing. It's not just false begging. I really do need it. It really will help me make a career out of this. So that's the like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to. I need lots of comments. I haven't gotten any so far as of this recording. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Google Plus or Battle.net or Steam, all that information is down in the notes. Again, so new, need people follow me on all those things. Getting more people to follow me on those things will help me a little bit in those fields. I'd much rather have YouTube subscribers than Twitter followers, but if you can do both, do both. Google Plus followers, same thing. If you want to put me in a circle, that's fine too. All that helps me out through those various systems as I'm learning how to be more sociable, and how that's going to help me and allow me to help you make sure you see when these videos come out. And so we're done with the series. And so as that is, I end every series same way as I end every episode. Have a good evening.